Oh no. January 3rd, 1868. The year end was filled with tension, but we were able to welcome the new year without anything happening. As New Year's Day was coming to an end with a duck.
Well, that was a nice one. I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'll be doing story time. Oh god, that timing.
Yes. I was just waiting for that moment.
Uh-huh.
Whoosh.
Whoosh. As New Year's Day was coming to an end safely, January 3rd rolled in. A dispute arose between the Satsuma domain and the group of shogunate troops attempting to enter Kyoto. Violence broke out, and suddenly, war was upon us. The shogunate army in Kyoto numbered roughly 15,000 men, while the Satsuma Chosu alliance commanded only 5,000. The shogunate army was hoping to barge right into Kyoto with their massive soldier count. But the Satsuma and Chosu troops had blocked the pathway with no intention of letting them in. I was busying myself in the compound around the time the men began to return from their patrols.
ただいま。今日の冬は相変わらず骨にくるよな。
Oh, welcome back, guys.
ったく、薩摩の連中め。めでてえ時期だってのに、軍勢率いて今日に押しかけてきやがって。おかげで、雑煮を食う暇すらねえじゃねえか。少しは考えろよな。
He continued muttering angrily to himself as he pulled off his coat and hung it up.
長倉君、外を歩いている時からずっと雑煮の話ばっかりだね。
だってさ、正月はやっぱ餅食って寝るのが醍醐味ってもんだろ。それとももしかして薩摩には正月がねえのかな。
That's an assumption. I don't think it was a matter of doesn't, but rather a matter of couldn't. However, the same went for us on the shogunate side as well. I wasn't sure what was to become of any of us. But for now, all I wished for was the new year to be celebrated in peace. Nagakura, do you really think the war will happen?
まあ、俺が薩長なら戦は起こさないな。何せ、幕府軍は15,000人。薩長は5,000人くらいだ。この人数差なら、勝敗はやる前から決まってるようなもんだ。だがな、薩長の奴らは何度も戦を経験して、新型の武器もどんどん取り入れている。気にかかるっちゃ気にかかるんだよな。
Doesn't matter how many men you have, if the opponent has a gun and an advantage. Numbers kind of don't matter a bit. Just then, we heard the boom of a large explosion. Just then, we heard the boom of a large explosion from outside the building. This sound. Remember how I mentioned about a gun?
今の銃声だったよな。
The earlier good humor evaporated, and every face in the room turned towards the source of the sound, tense and serious.
ああ、とうとう始まりやがったか。
That gunshot was the beginning of what would later become known as the Battle of the Toba Fushimi. Of Toba Fushimi. I don't know where the came from. We later learned that the Satsuma had opened fire on shogunate soldiers attempting to enter Kyoto, but at the time we heard it, we knew nothing.
どっちの兵が撃ったんだ？ちょっくら外に出て確認してくるか。
新八は動くな。 まずは俺が副長に知らせてくる。
とりあえず他の大使にも声をかけてきた方が良さそうだな。ちょっと言ってください。
Harada left to call the other warriors in the building. The magistrate was in a frenzy with activity, with people buzzing back and forth throughout. The deafening explosion tore through the air, and the building itself shook. It was no gunshot this time.
なんだ、いきなり地震が起こったわけじゃねえよな。ってことは
Saito and Nagakura looked at one another, then ran off out the door of the building.
どうなってやがんだよこりゃ。
I could hear their voices outside. What was going on? A cluster of shots rang out and I jumped.
大丈夫か。
What's going on out there?
隣の龍雲寺から大砲を撃ち込まれてる。こいつは薩長の連中の仕業だ。
Again, the localization is wrong. It's not Satsuma, it's Satcho. A cannon? No. The wall shook again as the cannon's thunderous report tore through the air.
くつ、このままじゃ壁を破られちまうのも時間の問題だぜ。
Harada had returned from the outside, and he bit his lip in clear frustration.
新八、敵の懐に飛び込んで向こうの大砲を奪うってのはできねえのか。
ちと難しそうだな。なんせ奴らは銃を持ってやるし、それも一人や二人じゃねえ。
Isn't there some way we could make them stop shooting at us? I mean, couldn't we shoot back at them with a cannon or something? It was a foolish idea and I knew it, but I felt so useless just standing around and screaming. I had to do something.
そいつは難しい相談だな。
Why?
ここにも大砲があるにはあるんだが、それを扱える人数が足りねえんだ。
Oh no. Then there was nothing we could do? We just had to sit here and let them attack us?
けどよ、何もしないってわけじゃねえ。
Just then,
このままだと崩れちまうのも時間の問題か。
Hijikata-san appeared, short of breath and wearing his head guard and Shinsengumi uniform. Hijikata-san!
近藤さんに本体の指揮を任された。これから反撃するぞ。
His words sent the magistrate's office into a frenzy.
よっしゃ、そうこなくっちゃな。やられっぱなしってのは性に合わねえよ。さっきから体がうずうずしちまって。
で、どういう作戦で行くつもりなんだ。大砲で反撃すんのか。
使えねえ大砲を引っ張り出しても意味がねえ。ここは最前線に撃って出るしかねえだろ。運が良きゃ向こうの武器を奪うこともできるかもしれねえ。
よし、そうこねえとな。
やってやろうじゃねえか。薩長のやつら見てやがれよ。
They all seemed more than ready to fight, but
ゲンさん、ここの守りを頼む。俺は部隊を率いて本陣を攻めてくるからな。
ああ、任せておいてくれ、トシさん。
he nodded and trotted off towards the entrance.
さっき入った報告じゃ、敵の本陣は 五光宮神社らしいが、途中にでっかい坂がありやがる。しかも坂の上には銃を持った兵が構えてると来てる。登ってる間に狙い撃ちされちまうな。これを打開する策といや。
Hijikata-san's voice trailed off, but all the men around to understand. But all the men around. What? But all the men around understood what that silence implied. Jesus Christ! Okay. If they were to win, they would have to thrust their forces into the heart of the enemy. Encampment. Ugh. And that would mean running straight into a line of gunfire. The men who left to go on the attack would be facing a good deal more danger than those left at the magistrate's office. There was a moment of silence before Nagakura fixed Hijikata-san with a confident look and spoke.
よし、わかった。そんじゃ、俺が切り込んでくるぜ。
やってくれるか、新八。
誰かが行かなきゃならねえんだろ。だったら行くさ。このままやられっぱなしで何もできねえまま終わりよりゃいい。
He gave Hijikata-san a grin and then turned to his men in the second division.
悪いな、2番組のみんな。命知らずな組長を持ったせいで地獄の底まで突き合わせることになっちまって。
That is a line.
何を言ってるんですか、長倉組長。
Oh. Does this mean Shimada is in the second division?
俺は武士ですから、今さら命なんて惜しくありませんよ。
よし、それじゃ2番組を切り込み隊に指名する。五光宮神社を攻撃してきてくれ。
ああ、任せといてくれよ。この長倉新八、ただじゃ死なねえぜ。
飛び込むときは俺たち10番組が援護してやるからな。安心して突っ込んでってくれよ。
それじゃあ行ってくるぜ。
With grins and more playful banter, Nagakura, Shimada, and Harada sauntered outside and out of sight.
斉藤、山崎は俺についてこい。龍雲寺に向かうぞ。とりあえずあの砲撃を止めなきゃどうにもならねえ。
承知しました。では俺が先に向かい様子を見てきます。
Hijikata-san, Saito-san, and Yamazaki also went outside. They all have very dangerous roles which could cost them their lives. But not a single soul showed any sign of fear. I'd always wondered, how could they go in with such bravery? This war wasn't something they'd experienced before, where they fought with swords. This time, guns and cannons have entered the fray. I couldn't shake my bad feelings about this. Please, everyone, come back safely. I felt frustrated not being able to do anything, and all I could do was keep praying for their safety. Then at last, as twilight began to fall in Kyoto, they returned. You're back!
ただいま。
Nagakura was dirty and despondent now, a stark contrast to the excitement and vigor on display when he marched out. His uniform was stained with dirt, dust, blood, and sweat from the battlefield. What happened? Did anyone get hurt?
いや、ほとんどは返り血だから心配ないんだが。撃たれて連れて帰れねえ奴らが多くてな。あいつらのことを思うと悔しくてよ。
Oh no. I didn't know what to say. Nagakura noticed I was at a loss of words and chimed in.
気にすんな。あいつらも覚悟はしてたさ。しかし、なんだよ、サスマの奴らが使ってたあの化け物銃は。前に飛び込む隙なんて見つかりゃしねえじゃねえか。冗談じゃねえぞ。今回はたまたま運よく生き残れたが、あんなのどうすりゃいいんだ。
中倉さん、
Oh, thank God Shimada's alive. Hearing Nagakura's frustration, eventually everyone fell silent. It was obvious from the start that this war was far different than the likes of Ikeda or the Hamaguri Rebellion. To think that the once invincible Shinsengumi could be so easily defeated. Outside, the bombardment continued unabated.
すまんねえこと言って悪かったな。大丈夫だって。反撃はこれからだからさ。敵さんだって夜になったら何も見えなくて銃も大砲も撃てなくなる。その隙に俺たちが突撃する戦法だ。夜になったら俺たちの出番ってわけさ。さてと、そろそろ行ってくるか。怪我したら手当てしてくれよ。
In response, I said, "Do you have to go? You know how dangerous it is out there. Do you have to go?"
それはな、俺が武士だからだ。こういう時のために俺たちは日々鍛えてるんだ。そのいざって時に世話見せられねえ。それが男であり武士ってもんだ。それに組長の俺がシャキッとしないとみんながついてこねえだろ。すまねえな。
Oh, no. I'm the one who should be sorry. I didn't know how strongly you felt about it.
俺のこと心配してくれてたからだろ。ありがとうよ。嬉しかった。じゃあ、行ってくるぜ。
Nagakura smiled and returned to the battlefield. Shortly after Nagakura had left, the outside became pitch black. Just as he'd predicted, the guns and cannons had ceased for a short while in the night, but after a few moments, they returned. I wonder if, like you said, they'd have trouble hitting people in the dark. Nagakura said they wouldn't, but please, come home safe. Luckily, I had an immediate distraction in the form of treating the injured. It was midnight. Nagakura's troops who served as the retaliatory forces had returned.
いや、参った参った。随分とやられちまったぜ。
Welcome back, Nagakura. Are you injured at all?
大丈夫、怪我はねえさ。
So, does this mean we were able to make some headway this time?
いや、そうじゃねえんだ。敵もバカじゃねえから、野襲のことも想定済みだった。そこら中にかがり火をたかれてよ。追い詰められたところを島田に助けられる始末さ。
Tell me Shimada is okay!
いえ、俺は組長の体を壁の上から引き上げただけです。
とにかく今回は助かったが、野襲も難しいとなると八方塞がれたぜ。
Nagakura vented his frustrations towards me, and it was clear he had no other outlets to channel how stuck he had felt. Eventually, Nagakura's words came to fruition. On the following day, January 4th, The dawn was met with the return of the enemy's rain of cannon fire. The Shinsengumi had hoped to launch a counterattack, but the power and rage of the cannons made close combat almost impossible. Not only the cannons, but the new guns, too, at the enemy's disposal had range and accuracy beyond what our men could deal with. As each wave of men was met with cannon fire, our side suffered more and more casualties. I could barely keep up with the amount of men that were pouring into the infirmary. Frustration seemed to pervade amongst the many warriors from their inability to advance towards the enemy fort. Nagakura used lighthearted talk to motivate the men who slumped as they walked.
おいおい、何しけた面してるんだ。敵の陣地はもうすぐだぜ。今度こそ突破してやるから、俺の背中についてこい。
His attempts to cheer the men roused their spirits a bit, and he charged to the front of the line. When afternoon had passed, one of the enemy cannons was pointed at our headquarters, with one of the cannonballs smashing right into it. Cannons pounded the Fushimi Magistrate's office, and the ground shook with each impact.
土方さん、もう無理だ。奴ら、坂の上にバカでかい大砲を仕掛けてやがる。坂を登ろうとした橋から撃ち殺されちまう。ありゃ切り合いに持ち込むなんて無理だぜ。
しかも奴らの持っている銃、射程が恐ろしく長い。あれほど離れているというのに、2発に1発が命中している。
新八のやつはどうしたんだ。見当たらねえが。
Where is our boy?
新八なら2番隊15名と共に敵陣へ切り込みに行ってる。
敵陣に切り込みって正気か。どう考えたって生きて帰ってこられるはずがねえだろう。
I could see muscles working in Hijikata's jaw, but he said nothing. His face was pale, although whether from fear or tension, I couldn't tell. Outside, the roar of the cannons continued unabated. Just when it seemed certain that Nagakura must have perished.
よう、ただいま。今戻ったぜ。
新八
Cries of surprise filled the room.
生きていたのか。まさか。
おっと、幽霊じゃないぜ。よく見てくれよ。足もちゃんとついてるから。
He grinned as he wiped a thick smear of blood and dirt from his face.
ただ、敵本陣に飛び込むのはどうやっても無理だった。先に出て行った合図の部隊も押し返されてるみてえだ。
副長、この先に進むのはかなり困難かと。ご決断をお願いします。
His brow furrowed, and he scowled furiously.
おい、なんだこりゃ。どこかから煙が流れてきてやがるぞ。
大砲の火が奉行所に燃え移ったか。さっさと逃げねえとやばいぜ。土方さん、撤退だ。
Even Nagakura's pleas seemed to fall on deaf ears.
トシさん。
Until this moment, the Shinsengumi had never known defeat in battle, but they were helpless against the firearms of the Satsuma and Chosu. The Shinsengumi was Hichikata-san's life. Defeat was hard to accept. After what seemed like an eternity, he let out a long, ragged sigh.
なるほど。もう刀や槍の時代じゃねえってことだな。
His knuckles turned white. There were several more minutes of tense, breathless silence before he finally looked up, his eyes burning with fury.
ここは撤退だ。だがまだ負けたわけじゃねえ。この借りは必ず返してやるからな。
Fury wasn't the only thing in those eyes. Behind them, I could see a bitter, desperate agony. Under Hijikata-san's orders, it was decided for us to head to Osaka Castle, where our allies from Yodo Castle and the Shogunate were waiting for us. We were to hold the castle as a fortress and eventually move to counter the Satsuma Chosu.
そうか。やっぱりそうなっちまうのか。くそったれ。
Nagakura didn't seem so thrilled with Hijikata-san's decision. I told him, "It's not over yet. It's not over yet." Well, it doesn't mean this is over just yet. We've only just begun. I desperately tried to console Nagakura, who seemed to have lost himself out of anger. I mean, we're going to hold the castle up this time, right? If we can prevent the enemy's artillery from reaching us, we could win, right? After hearing my comment, a light returned to Nagakura's eyes.
ああ、そうだぜ。大坂城なら薩長が束になっても落ちやしねえ。まだまだこれからだよな。ありがとうよ。
He nodded firmly. And so, as I put my phone away, the process of retreating from the Fushimi magistrate had begun. A division team comprised of a few able-bodied soldiers was ordered to draw out enemy forces as the wounded moved to the Yodo and Osaka castles. I had joined Inoue in guiding our injured men to the Yodo castle, while Nagakura and Harada were tasked with leading the diversion team. Well, we'll head out first. Please stay safe, everyone.
ああ、すぐに追いつくからよ。
皆さん、この子を頼んだぜ。
分かっているとも。必ず城に送り届けるよ。
では俺たちは行く。城で会おう。
ここで別れは言わねえよ。また会えるんだから。ね。
Thus, Inoue and I set forth for Yodo Castle, with the injured soldiers in tow. In order to escape enemy detection, we cut through the forest and we finally arrived at Yodo Castle. Hijikata-san's hope was to use the castle as a new staging area, where he could garrison our troops and launch ambushes from. Unfortunately... That's weird. Why are the gates closed? Do you think they're already preparing for battle? There were no guards outside the castle, or indeed anywhere we could see. It was uncomfortably quiet. He stood for a moment, absently rubbing his chin in thought, before finally making a decision.
我々は幕命を受けて参った。お上に弓引く逆賊を迎え撃つため力を貸してもらいたい。
His voice echoed out through the stillness, but no one responded. I had almost begun to think the castle was simply abandoned when... Oh, look! There's someone in that window! Huh? They've got something shiny.
危ない！伏せなさい！
Huh? Inoue grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me down, just as gunshots echoed from the castle walls. My eyes darted around, but there was no rebels nearby. That meant that the bullets were meant for us. What's going on? I thought the Yoda were friendly.
薩長の勢いに気をされたか。はたまた民を戦乱に巻き込みたくないとの辛抱遠慮か。とりあえず本体へ戻ろう。これ以上ここにいるのは危険だ。
But Hijikata-san told us to get reinforcements from Yodo. Inoue only shook his head.
あんたももう分かってるだろう。彼らは我々の味方ではない。ここに長居すればするだけあんたの身を危険にさらすことになる。
But if we leave, then what's going to happen to Hijikata-san? What's going to happen to the Shinsengumi? Let's try and talk to them. If we explain what's going on, I'm sure they'll understand. I've never seen Inoue glare at me before.
いい加減にしなさい。トシさんのために増援を呼びたいのは私だって同じだ。だが私は淀藩に援軍を頼みに行くのと同時にあんたを守る役目も仰せつかってるんだよ。もしあんたの身に何かあれば命令に背くことになる。さあ。
There was nothing I could say.
さあ、戻ろうか。私たちがなかなか戻ってこなくて大使たちも心配しているだろう。